silent thunder, still wind, quiet storm.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Quiet Storm, or as I shall be known in this video, John F. Kimball. I have a special treat for you all today. Today I will be reading Chapter 1 of my short story, The Hands That Lurk in Edmundshire. Had to get my glasses so I can read this easier. Printed it in like 11-point font. The Hands That Lurk in Edmundshire, a short story by John F. Kimball. Chapter 1. The Doctor, the Drunk, and the Barman. It was late in summer of 1874 when this tale came to its fruition. The darkness of the night was held back only by the dull glow of the oil lamps that lined the cobbled pathway into Edmundshire. A calm breeze blew through the scattered stone buildings and small scruffy trees that were mysteriously placed in the most awkward of places, such as one so near to a door of a home that if a lady were to grow rotund from a sudden bout of gluttony, she would be left trapped either inside or out of her small cramped abode. A dog, no more than flesh and bones, medium-sized in stature, crossed the dark pathway and approached the village drunk, searching for sustenance to cure the pain of its starvation. The dog stopped briefly to lap a drink of stagnant water from the rainwater collection trough that was kept in front of the village bakery. The village drunk had passed out hours before in front of the pub, next door to the bakery. The creature approached and sniffed the sleeping alcoholic. To his disappointment, the dog saw the filthy man had nothing worthwhile to offer, and crept away into the darkness behind the tavern. In the matter of only a few minutes, the dog returned. The pain of hunger grew inside the beast, and beast he did become. A complete change in the dog's mentality from moments before, the filthy, smelly, homeless man suddenly appeared to be quite an appealing treat. The dog walked up to the man toward his bare, blackened hand that lay upon the entry porch of the town pub. With its remaining scattered dull teeth, the dog clenched its jaws upon the hand of the drunk. The man awoke in terror and let out a cry of agony. This only angered the starving animal, who began to growl as he continued to bite and chew at the man's hand, eventually reaching a few inches up the forearm. The barman, who was sleeping in his upstairs loft, heard the drunk's cries of pain. He opened his bedroom window to hear the growling of the beast he was unable to see on account of his porch being directly above the situation. The barman took out his handgun and fired a shot into the air. He watched in confusion as the beast, which sounded like it must have been the size of a large man, manifested itself as simply the starving dog, who upon hearing the gunshot cowered back into the darkness. Little did the barman know that the dog was simply the last survivor in the chain of an ancient curse. The injured man cried out, "Whoever fired the shot, please come help me, I beg you." The plea was quiet and raspy, but loud enough for the barman to take note. He hurriedly left his upstairs loft and walked to the entrance of his beloved pub. The first thing he saw on the porch was the bum, the second, the blood. The wild beast had inflicted a serious amount of damage upon the hand and arm of the drunk man, with no other parts of his body being visually damaged. The barman examined what he could see of the man's injuries. "Bartholomew, you've drunk yourself into a dog attack. Do you wish that I should fetch the doctor?" "If it wouldn't horribly inconvenience you, Milo," Bartholomew spoke in a pained whisper, "I would be quite appreciative." Milo rushed down the way to wake the one doctor of Edmundshire from his peaceful sleep. He walked up to the medical building and stared up at the doctor's loft, which had one window in the front. A single oil lamp was apparently left burning in a corner of the room, giving it a soft glow that clearly separated the window from the night. Milo began banging upon the doctor's door, and soon heard a groggy call. "Who's there? What do you bloody want?" "It's Milo. I've a man down here, Arthur. He's been attacked by a dog and is losing his lifeblood in front of my pub." Dog. Can't this wait till..." He paused to yawn. "Morning, Milo." "Drinks tomorrow on the house if you stir yourself awake, Arthur. It'll only be a few minutes to check on him." Arthur groaned from his loft. Within a few moments, the doctor's office was illuminated. Arthur walked over to the door and stared at Milo, then to the pub, to see the drunk man writhing in pain. "Well, what are you standing there for, man? Bring the damn drunk over here and I'll have my look at him." Milo walked over to fetch the drunk, who was no longer groaning in agony. He had apparently become unconscious, either from the pain or from the alcohol that remained pulsing through his veins. Milo kicked at the drunk a few times and barked his name. "Bartholomew! Arise and come to the doctor! Bartholomew!" Arthur called through the darkness. "Hurry up, man! The beast might return!" "I cannot stir him, Arthur! He's fallen asleep!" "Bloody hell!" Arthur muttered to himself as he began to strut across the way to the pub. "All right, let's carry him." Between the strengths of the two men, Bartholomew was carried into the doctor's office and placed onto the eerie, blood-spattered examination table. Arthur lit a second oil lamp, which he kept close to the table. Arthur tapped on Bartholomew's shoulder. "Bart," he called. "Bartholomew! Can you wake up?" "I've told you all there is to know, Arthur," Milo began. "The poor drunk was sleeping on my porch when he was attacked by what appeared to be a very thin, starving beast that looked most similar to a dog." "So, a dog?" "Yes, Arthur, a dog." Arthur took a peek at Bartholomew's bloodied, bitten hand. A few strips of flesh were detached and dangling by one side, where the dog used his few remaining teeth to their full potential. "Bloody hell, this is bad." "How bad?" "The flesh is no longer healthy. Part of his hand is blackening. The dog could have been diseased. Our best bet right now is to remove poor Bartholomew's hand and hope whatever disease that's invaded him will be stopped." Milo stared in awe at what Arthur had just proposed. "Take his hand? He'd be twice as useless without it." "And he'll be thrice as useless dead, Milo. Don't you think? As it is now, his flesh is rotting right before my eyes. I've never seen anything like this happen so quickly before. This may be our only chance to save him." "You are the doctor, and if you think it's best..." "I know it's best, Milo. Fetch me the bottle of antiseptic behind you, will you?" Milo handed Arthur the bottle of antiseptic, and watched as it was poured upon the quickly blackening hand. Bartholomew stirred from the sudden rush of pain, and began to wake up. "Arthur, he's stirring!" Bartholomew began to groan through his drunkenness, feeling the full rush of pain that ravaged through his nerves. Arthur, apparently having such a situation occur before, grabbed his handy bottle of ether from a cabinet under the table, applied some to a cloth, and placed it over Bartholomew's face. He quickly fell back out of consciousness. To Milo's horror, Arthur grabbed a large handsaw with perhaps the sharpest and shiniest teeth Milo had ever seen on such a tool. Arthur handed the saw off to Milo. "Almost forgot," Arthur said as he bowed down into his cabinet. "We need to strap him down." He arose with one large strap and 5 smaller ones. He put one strap around Bartholomew's chest, one around his head, and one for each arm and leg. He stared at Milo. "I've done this before, and it's quite likely that he may wake up. I need you over by me to keep hold of his arm in case he awakens." Milo trembled as he walked over beside Arthur. He removed a flask from his hip pocket and took a long drink. "All right, I'm ready." Arthur took the final step of preparation, which was the process of tying a tourniquet on Bartholomew's arm above where he chose to make the cut. Milo handed off the saw to Arthur, who placed it on Bartholomew's forearm, near the wrist. He took the first pull. Blood gushed out upon the table. Arthur hacked at the appendage mercilessly. Upon reaching bone, he cut faster and harder. Milo looked at Bartholomew, who began to stir and wake up. His eyes opened in terror as he let out a blood-curdling scream that put all of Edmundshire on high alert. A lamp was lit in every house. Mothers hugged their children. Fathers attained their firearms. Bartholomew continued to scream in agony. At last, Arthur took the final cut, and the hand fell down onto the floor. Bartholomew continued to scream until the pain became unbearable to the point that he lost consciousness once more. Arthur, not shaken one bit by the terrified cries of the helpless drunk, attained bandages from the cabinet and began to wrap Bartholomew's bloody stump. Although the tourniquet was placed properly, small amounts of blood continued to run from the wound for several minutes. Milo shook back into reality from the horror he had just witnessed. "You figure he's got enough blood left?" "Enough to survive," Arthur said. "But something tells me he won't be wandering to the pub for a few days." Little did the men know that the amputated hand was losing its blackness beneath their feet. End of Chapter 1 of The Hands That Lurk in Edmundshire. The Hands That Lurk in Edmundshire is available on Amazon for 99 cents, and I will leave the link to that in the description below. Thank you all for watching. I am The Quiet Storm, aka John F. Kimball. I'll see you all tomorrow.